Hi, my name is Brad Smith. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Campbell and Associates in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a board-certified specialist in the area of workers' compensation law in the state of North Carolina. I'm here today to answer a question that's commonly posed, and that question is, are all accidents that occur at work covered under workers' comp? Believe it or not, the answer to that question is no, not all injuries that occur at work are covered by workers' comp. And I will tell you that the vast majority of injuries that occur at work are covered under workers' comp. However, there are some exceptions to this rule. In the state of North Carolina, if you injure any body part other than your back, your low back, your middle back, or your neck, your injury must arise out of something that's called an accident. And of course, we all know what an accident is. However, in the context of workers' compensation law, it has a special meaning. It has to be an unusual or untoward event, something not customary and ordinary with your job. For instance, if your job involves stacking, 25-pound boxes on a pallet, and you're doing that, and one day while you're doing this, you end up pulling something in your shoulder and rupturing your rotator cuff, well, unfortunately, that injury occurred at work, but it wasn't an unusual or unexpected part of your job that caused that injury. In contrast, if you're walking through the warehouse and trip over something that's laying in the floor and fall and catch yourself and end up injuring your shoulder, well, that fall was unexpected, and as a result, the injury that occurred is covered under workers' comp. In contrast, injuries that involve your back or your neck, they do not necessarily have to be part of an unusual or untoward event. Rather, as long as you can establish that you were doing something that was a part of your job and that you injured yourself as a part of doing that part of your job, then the resulting injury would be compensable. You must show that it was the result of what's called a specific traumatic incident, and that's basically just a particular point in time when you can say that, hey, I was doing this at work and I injured my neck or my back. An example would just be as simple as lifting a 25-pound box and injuring your low back. That may be a customary and an ordinary part of your job. However, in the case of a back injury, that's enough to have that back injury covered under workers' comp. I will tell you that this is the law as it applies in North Carolina. I also practice in South Carolina. The laws are a little more favorable in terms of covering more injuries. They don't necessarily have to arise out of an unusual or untoward event that occurs at work. Rather, if you have an injury that occurs as a result of something you're doing at work, the vast majority of cases, in the case in the context of South Carolina law, it would be covered. As you can tell, it can be a little confusing. Sometimes what you think should happen isn't always the case. If you have questions about whether or not your injury that occurred at work is covered and should be covered under workers' comp, give us a call. We're here to help. Thanks.